With trade rumors heating up, we're going to be talking about the most recent trade update around Vooch and the likelihood of him being moved this season. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you have found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And so today we are talking about the most recent trade update around Vooch. And so this surfaces around what Marc J of ESPN had to say. He is a senior writer and also too an NBA insider. He appears on NBA Today, their program. And so this was said on Tuesday night as the Golden State Warriors were set to take on the Miami Heat, a game in which they lost 114-98. And so you can go over to Bleacher Nation, and this is Elias Schuster that writes about this, and he actually has went ahead and put the quote up from what Marc J. Spears had to say. And so this is paraphrasing what he had to say. If you go over there to the article, you can click the link and see what was said on the broadcast. But he's saying he's hearing that the Warriors are literally looking to go bigger than Jimmy Butler, talking about how the team is undersized, talks about how they want to pair somebody with Draymond Green. And he's talking about Vooch and how he probably might be the number one guy on that list that the Warriors might be interested in. And he's talking about how Vooch can shoot the three. He can also score inside. But more importantly, $20 million is a lot better than $48 million. And that's talking about Jimmy Butler's contract. And he's also saying keep an eye out there for Walker Kessler, John Collins of the Jazz, and also too Jonas Valanciunas of the Wizards. And so with that being said, the question now is, does it make sense for the Golden State Warriors? Does this deal make sense for the Chicago Bulls? And so starting with the Golden State Warriors, I think that this deal makes a ton of sense for them because they are trying to maximize this window with Steph Curry and Draymond Green. And I think by bringing Vooch over, you immediately address that. And also, too, from a financial standpoint, this is something that certainly helps the Warriors out versus the $48 million of Jimmy Butler. And then also, too, you would have to go into the negotiation table with Jimmy Butler. And I think that he wants a max deal. The Golden State Warriors maybe are not looking to commit to that at this point, which we're going to talk about. And so with that being said, when you look at Vooch and you just look at his sheer numbers and how he can impact the Golden State Warriors, he's averaging 20.2 points a game, 10.1 rebounds a game, 3.3 assists. He's shooting 55% from the field and 42% from three. Just with Vooch's rebounding alone, if you put him on the Golden State Warriors, he would lead the Golden State Warriors right now in rebounding. At the time of this particular recording, Kayvon Looney leads the Warriors in rebounding at 6.7 rebounds. And so you immediately get some rebounding help with Vooch. And then also, too, from a scoring standpoint, you immediately get an impact there because Andrew Wiggins and then also to Jonathan Kuminga, they are the second and third leading scorers behind Steph Curry on this team at 16 points a game. And so you instantly get a boost with Vooch and the way that he can score the basketball. And lastly, with the way the Golden State Warriors like to play, Vooch fits right in. I think that this is something where it is not an awkward fit. You also have players in place that really can help Vooch on the defensive end. And I think that he gives really the Golden State Warriors another dynamic to their offense now because they have a player that they could legitimately throw it down to in the post. And he can actually open up some things. You can imagine if they have that player movement and ball movement off of that, that is going to make their offense a lot easier. And so for those reasons, I think that it makes sense for the Golden State Warriors. Now, for the Chicago Bulls, does it make sense? It makes sense depending on what the Golden State Warriors want to do. And that really comes down to what are they willing to give? How desperate are the Golden State Warriors to get somebody over to really maximize this window? Starting with the draft capital. It's been out there that we've been hearing the rumors that the Chicago Bulls maybe want some first round picks. We've heard that maybe 2 second-round picks might be a starter for Vooch. I'm assuming that he's worth a first round at this point. He's playing at an all-star level. You're getting him at $20 million, which I think is an absolute bargain. And he's also locked in for at least another year. And really, if you think about it, depending on if he's traded and when he's traded, you only have him for a year and a half. And so he's not like he's on your books that long. It's almost like you are in a one-year rental situation, even though you're not. And so I think that is another good incentive for any team going after him. And so with that being said, I think that the Chicago Bulls are looking for first-round picks. And I think that the Golden State Warriors have that. They have their 25 first-round pick, 26, 27, their 28, their 29, their 31st, and their 32nd first-round picks. And so the Golden State Warriors, if they're willing to come off of some first-round picks or a first-round pick, whatever, they have that. And so I think that is something that would entice the Chicago Bulls, and that makes sense for them. And then with the expiring contracts, that's number two. I think that is the number two reason why the Chicago Bulls might want to do this, because we've heard about the Zeke Naji deal and why they didn't want to do that deal maybe with the Denver Nuggets. I mean, we don't know, but we've heard that it's stalled out mainly because of that contract. Well, with the Golden State Warriors, they have expiring contracts, because when we throw that up, you'll see that they have players that, just have this 1 year left. And essentially, it's something that the Chicago Bulls can have come off the books, because you see that Kevon Looney is a player that he's on an expiring contract. Gary Payton II at $9.1 million, he's on an expiring contract. Jonathan Kuminga, $7.6 million, he's on an expiring contract. Well, actually, he's on a restricted free agent. So, but still, you have a decision that you can make with that. Or you have, some of these younger players, which is number three, or another reason why I think the Chicago Bulls maybe get interested with the Golden State Warriors, is because they have some younger talent. So I did mention Jonathan Kuminga, but we have a little update about that. Moses Moody is a player that I think we've heard about. He maybe possibly is a player that could be moved. He's a guard. His contract's not bad at 4 years at $5.8 million, so not bad. Then you have maybe a player like Brandon Przinski. Maybe they come off of him, 3.5, 3 years there, so that's not a bad contract. We've saw that maybe Cal Anderson maybe is a player that would be included from a salary standpoint, $8.7 million times 3 years. And so if we're taking him on, I definitely want to bring back some draft capital. And so the Chicago Bulls, they could get a younger player, they could get expiring contracts, and they also could get some draft capital. Now, here is the kind of tying this into the younger players, and this is why this might be a little shaky now. One of the things that Marc J Spears says, if you go and click the link and you actually look at this, he's saying that the Golden State Warriors are not looking to move off of Jonathan Kuminga or Andrew Wiggins. And so if they're not willing to trade those players, I just talked about Jonathan Kuminga. I think he has a ton of upside. I think he's a player that certainly would fit your timeline. He's averaging 16.8 points a game, 5 rebounds a game, 2 assists, 45% from the field goal percentage, and 34 from 3. And I know he's out with the ankle injury, but his upside, the fact that he can maybe fit your timeline, I could see that being a player that would maybe interest the Chicago Bulls. And so if he's out, now I kind of wonder, okay, what other younger talents might be coming back in that deal? So that's another thing. And then so if you're looking to move on from say a Zach Lavine or something like that, which I don't think that they are, but just if they were wanting to, you would have to give up Andrew Wiggins. And so that's not going to happen. So that's fine. But just throwing that out there, he's not going to come over in the deal. And so do the Chicago Bulls get cold feet because there's no Kuminga? Do they get cold feet because there's no Wiggins? And I don't know if they wanted him initially. But, those are two things that might hang up a deal. And so with that being said, that also leads into what Sam Amick had to say on, I think it's FanDuel's show today, which is Running Back, and that's with Lou Williams. And he was talking about the Golden State Warriors situation, and he reiterates, his intel or source say that the Golden State Warriors don't want to commit to Jimmy Butler for the long term as far as that max deal. And also, too, they don't want to get into a rental situation. And so I think the Chicago Bulls and Vooch, they have what the Golden State Warriors want. It wouldn't be a rental, and it also isn't something that you have to go into the negotiation table with Vooch. And so let me know in the comments what you think about this most recent trade update around Vooch. Do you think that the Chicago Bulls should, in fact, trade him to the Golden State Warriors, or at least have those talks? Or do you think that no, they shouldn't have those trade talks because we're not going to get a player like a Jonathan Kuminga, you're not getting a Wiggins, and who knows if they're going to give up the draft capital? We don't know that. But again, these are all trade rumors, and so take these with a grain of salt. Let me know in the comments what you think. I want to thank everybody out there for liking, sharing, and subscribing to the content. It means a lot to us here at Bulls Digest as we try to reach our goal of 5,000 subscribers by the end of the NBA season. I want to let you know about 68.8% of you that watch are not subscribed, so make sure that you go ahead and slam dunk on that subscribe button as we try to reach our subscriber goal. And look, even though the Chicago Bulls are going to be in a lot of trade rumors, we're going to hear a lot of stuff. At the end of the day, you know, the Chicago Bulls are going to have to figure out what makes the best sense for this franchise to move forward, because I think ultimately speaking, you don't want to make a deal where you are, you know, trading any of your main players right now and you're not getting the true value for them. So I don't think that the Chicago Bulls should take a deal and get lowballed just to try to get into a tank situation or whatever that looks like. And then also, too, if you are making a trade, it has to be something that pushes this franchise forward, not something that maybe we take a small step forward, but ultimately it costs us down the line. I think that the Chicago Bulls just have really seriously got to have a plan. So let me know in the comments what you're thinking. And as I always say, go Bulls. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.